Hey everybody, and welcome to AD2L Season 5. This is not part of the $100 one-day tournament. This is in fact just a regular season game between Dota and Fresh Soil. I am, of course, Wolf Dota, joined by my co-caster, Korean Barbecue. How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. It's great to be here. We had a bit of a long wait after the last game, so eager to shake off the rust and keep chugging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Steam servers kind of had some issues going down, causing some problems. I think a couple games had to be restarted, postponed, and some weird stuff going on, but we got it sorted out. And we're gonna cast the University of Minnesota a game, third game or second game of the day. They've got one more after this for sure. So we'll see how they do. A couple interesting bands coming out here. We got the Brewmaster band and the Viper, Shadow Shaman band very early, as well as the Terrorblade, and then a first pick Invoker. So interesting choice going for that first pick Invoker. Um, I kind of feel like maybe you want to go save that Invoker pick for a little later, usually.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It kind of depends when. I mean, some teams have a high priority on Invoker, although he's not as popular these days. You know, there was a point maybe a year ago, I want to say around TI3, where he was picked or banned first almost every time. And yeah, that's less common these days. But here's the thing about Invoker, right? He's not really a hero that one pick or anything counters or stops. He's just such a versatile hero that can do anything. So anytime you pick him up, yeah, I just look for a strong performance from him and hope that he works out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me as well, me as well. Earthshaker and Tidehunter, the picks by Fresh Soil for the first round, so they got a little bit of initiation, just a little bit, the double blink, shit all over your face combo coming out from them,
Yep.
with the Ravage and the Echo Slam comboed up with the Fissure, and just a whole lot of spells and solid initiation coming up from Fresh Soil. So they've got that in the bag. I imagine it's a support shaker. You always hope you see a crit shaker just because that can be quite entertaining. Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely. Carry Earthshaker is always fun to watch. But here's one thing I want to point out already from the Dire lineup. They did pick Earthshaker first. He's a very strong hero, obviously, who can do a number of things. But both heroes coming out in the Dire's first two picks need blink daggers. So while that may not be an issue for your offlane Tide, if you have too many farm dependent supports or supports that usually need those items to be at their most effective, and that timing either doesn't work out for you or you don't get it when you need it, then it might be an issue coming into mid-game fights.
Mm-hmm. And Earthshaker is not a hero that clears stacks very well, like Sand King or someone like that. He has to basically absorb, sit in a lane for a number of minutes and get the CS, and then you're taking it away from your core. But I mean, he needs kills and towers early to really get those. That said, once he gets them, I think it'll be pretty effective. But their next support definitely has to be someone who is not farm dependent at all, like something like a Lion that can just eventually get tranquil boots and then is basically six slotted.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And we see Doom coming out at the second pick for the University of Minnesota. This is a hero also who can wear many different hats. He can go to the off lane. We haven't seen that as much lately, but it's possible for him with Devour to farm a decent amount. He can go to the jungle, which is pretty common since he can devour creeps there. And of course, he's sometimes run as either a safe lane carry or mid. So it'll be interesting to see where they deploy the Invoker and the Doom. And of course, if he does get his Doom off on a hero like the Earthshaker or Tidehunter, who like offers so much setup and disable, it can really take them out of a team fight. So that's something to watch.
And both heroes being so teamfight orientated, without that, they don't really offer a whole lot. I mean, Earthshaker can kind of lumber around and maybe poke you once or twice, but same with Tide, they're not going to do a whole lot. It's not like something like maybe a ranged carry, like or a Death Prophet or something along those lines, where if Death Prophet hits R and then gets doomed, really doesn't matter, you know?
Yep. Once you have that spell off, of course, it doesn't matter. So that will also depend on who gets the jump on whom. Is the Doom going to get a blink dagger? Are Tide and Earthshaker going to manage to stay out of vision so that Doom doesn't get them? That's the meat and potatoes of the gameplay right there. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I like the bans coming out from Fresh Soil. They get rid of the Silencer and the Timber Saw, both of which we've seen used quite effectively today so far. So some quality bans coming out there. Razor and Witch Doctor, the bans for the University of Minnesota. Good call there, I think. Both heroes, effective mid laners and just all around heroes, very potent right now. Void hasn't been touched yet. So I don't know for how many eggs Fresh Soil wants to put in this Blink/Leap initiation lineup, but that's an option for them. But they ooh, now that's a hero we saw go ham today. Not quite as ham as the TA, which I think University of Minnesota still doesn't really want to talk about, but that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. That OD has had a pretty good time today in some of the games that we've seen, and yeah, there is still a Void and Death Prophet on board. I think they'd be a little bit hesitant to take the Void because they already have 2 melee heroes, so that might not be the best synergy. Although the heroes can obviously jump in with Blink after Chronosphere ends, or even before to set it up. So OD, they have a strong mid presence here. He's a hero that no matter who lanes against him, it's just a headache because he just takes away all your int and your mana, and before you know it, you can't do much, and you've got like you're running around with like a mana pool of 80. So
And so far right now, the OD picked up this early is kind of a little obvious where they're gonna put him. That's gonna be their mid lane, but I still would like to see maybe pick up the Doom, or sorry, pick the Doom, put him in the off lane, and then put the Invoker safe lane, and then pick something like a Kunkka or a Viper or someone who doesn't need the mana. Really, Viper's already banned out, so you can't go with that. But pick up somebody. That's assuming they have someone who can play the hero. Pick that up. That way they don't get countered necessarily as hard by the lack of mana. And on a side note, I love the Rubik pickup. Personal favorite of mine. Most games played. Hoo-wah. There's a lot of really good stuff to steal so far. Whether it's Fissure is probably the best thing right now. But if you can get your hands on Ravage or Echo Slam, even Sanity's Eclipse, Rubik is an intel hero. Doesn't have the greatest gain, but neither does Tidehunter and Earthshaker. They both have almost none, so it can do a fair bit of damage to them. Warlock's also got some solid stuff to steal.
yeah, the Rubik, of course, the Tide will want to be anchor smashing after his Ravage to prevent that from being stolen. And if Rubik does steal Sanity's Eclipse, even if he's not using it to deal damage, I mean, the alternative effect of it, if it doesn't reach the damage threshold, is that heroes lose 75% of their mana. So that's going to be pretty big against heroes with relatively limited pools, such as the Tide Hunter, if he
Hmm.
manages to steal that and get it off. So we'll get to see. Rubik is another one of those high skill cap heroes. There's usually a huge difference in variation of how well he's played. So that's always fun to watch.
And another thing we didn't mention yet is his null field. All they are is magical damage. That is all magic coming out. Even I believe the Warlock is just regular magic damage now. Doesn't say hovering over the spell, but I'm pretty sure Fatal Bonds is magical damage. Everything for all the ulti from OD and all of and Tide's Ravage and everything from Earthshaker is all magic damage. So that once you get some points up in that null field, it might even go. I've done this before. You go 1-2-1 kind of thing, and or 1-3-1, and then after you get your ulti, you get your max null field, or even just put that extra point, maybe one more point to telekinesis just to get that extra toss range to really be able to throw people around. But sometimes you got to prioritize that null field.
Yeah, that's one of the nice perks of having the Rubik. For their carry, they decided to pick up the Spectre, and this is, I mean, we've seen this hero once they as well, and you know he got really farmed, and that's really what it comes down to for Spectre. I feel like when you pick a hero like that, the game's to some extent in your team's hands. How much space they provide for you if they create kill opportunities. So we will see how well this team manages to protect him.
And I think if the Invoker gets off to a decent start, and when I say decent, I mean maybe rotates once early-ish kind of thing, create a little space, and then I think if the Doom, because they have a Spectre, I want to see the Doom go non-greedy. I want to see Doom build some items so that he can create space for the Spectre. So like phase Vlad's or Mechanism, like that kind of thing, and just start pressuring the opposite end of the map tower. Just create some
Yeah,
space, let that Spectre get that radiance. I think it'll
absolutely.
be pretty effective.
And the other thing about Doom is, depending on Fresh Soil's last pick here, and they seem to be running out of time, I'll let this one come down to the wire and see where they go.
And Tiny,
All right, this is a hero we
huh?
haven't seen in a while. Yeah, The Tiny gives you pretty good burst damage. He can take care of himself, and he also, of course, adds to the AoE theme that we see here from the Dire with the Warlock OD Tide Earthshaker. Once he gets his Aghanim Scepter, he'll be cleaving. So there's a lot of AoE damage and pretty good team fight coming out from the Dire, and they do have some pick-off potential. So I think it's a very active lineup with a lot of potential from the mid into the late game, and I think they do have a good chance of pressuring the Spectre and rotating around and making life difficult in multiple lanes.
And I like this final support pickup from the side of Minnesota. That the hero, I like the heroes in general. Good setup with the Rubik. You can lift into the ice path, fire, dual breath, liquid fire, and just an all-around very good support at harassing the offlaner. And one of the few supports that can really push a Tide Hunter out of the lane with that liquid fire.
Yep. That said, though, I will introduce the players first, I guess, and then I'll hold that thought for a little bit.
Yeah. On the Radiant side, the University of Minnesota, we've got Legendary playing that Rubik, Berserker on the Invoker, and Science Bay 5 playing the Spectre, Grodd on the Doom, and last but certainly not least, Lucky Charms playing that Shakiro.
And on the Dire, we have Wilson on the Earthshaker, Raven on the Tiny, Das Hawk, a stand-in on the mid OD, Joed on the Tidehunter, and Gabe on the Warlock. They all have very casual names, like
Very,
it's almost like the team from next door.
yeah, very standard names. No clan tags here, boys. The fresh soils here, just to have some fun. Fresh soil, and they picked a Tiny and an Earthshaker. That's terrible. God.
I like that. So going back to what I was trying to say before, there is one thing that really stands out to me for the early game for UMN, which is that their heroes seem relatively defensive in nature. Like Rubik and Jakiro are usually not the best gankers unless they have another really good ganking support. So that tells me that they're not going to be rotating around as much, and Invoker and Doom are also kind of level dependent heroes before they fight. I mean, technically, usually you won't see a Doom go fight too much before he gets his ultimate at level 6. And of course, Spectre is kind of dependent early game, so that could be something to watch out for. How aggressive will Fresh Soil be, and will UMN be able to deal with that early game with relatively defensive picks and heroes?
Yeah. But that said, the defensive supports certainly fit their draft. They don't honestly. If both teams sat in their lanes and farmed for 30 minutes, UNM would probably be, or UMN would be pretty happy with that. I would say they have the late game in spades almost. If Doom decides to go like Ags Refresher, that's just gonna blink Ags Refresher the Tiny, or blink at Doom the Tiny, Refresher Doom the OD, and that's all the right click coming out for the side of FS. OD won't be able to get his Arcane Orb off at all or anything along those lines, and gonna really struggle.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
like
Doom
Invoker.
has
Sorry, go
just
ahead.
has that unique quality of just basically taking a hero out of the fight, and there are a lot of heroes that would be good targets for that.
Invoker also scales very well into late game, and looks like he's gonna go with that early point in Exhort. He's gonna get a lot of his intelligence drained up here, so he's gonna be losing his right click, which is actually a pretty big deal for him, as Invoker starts with basically no damage whatsoever to speak of. He hits like a kitten up until he gets some points in Exhort. You can get that extra orb damage.
Yeah, so this will be good to slow him down early, and if he's going for Midas, as I think many Exhort Invoker builds do, he might get it much later in this game. And as I said, this goes with the theme of being able to apply pressure without too much of a response, and I hope that Fresh Soil really tries to make that happen.
Quickly to note, both offlaners here getting a fair bit of CS. Both of them had their lane right up in front of their tower. Both of them sitting at 4 last hits to their name as well. And Doom Vower is on cooldown, but he's looks like he's trying to pull the creep wave. Didn't quite time it right. They kind of got screwed up by the Earthshaker there. It looks like, but trying to pull it off into the side lane. Spectre's getting harassed pretty hard by this Tide. Jakiro needs more points than that liquid fire. Needs the levels. Doom now level 3. Go ahead.
Oh, I was to say, yeah, and what you pointed out is, as you see this Jakiro really taking some damage, that's one of the downsides of having very defensive supports and the Spectre, in that all the heroes, none of them are particularly great at killing people, although Jakiro's got pretty good harass, so they can't really force the Tide off the lane, and the Tide's gonna kind of have his way up there.
Yeah, Rubik picks up a haster and is going to lift the Tide and throw him back here. Ice Path's going to whiff, unfortunately, though. Not quite judging the Tide's movement speed right, as he had a pair of boots on there, and so was able to easily outrun that. Also be one of the reasons why he's getting as much as he is in the lane. Meanwhile, Doom, he's got the creep wave all the way back under his tower, has that Devour off cooldown. Not throwing it out, probably maybe saving it to eat a jungle creep. Get that extra gold, trying to get these last hits just the old-fashioned way. So we'll have to see how that goes. But
Yep. He could also been just waiting for his second point so he can get a little bit more gold. Doom, you greedy bastard.
that value point in Doom. And this Doom is not being touched at all. He's just as farmed as any of the official safe laners are. They're all sitting around 10 CS, 12 on the Invoker though. He's leading the charts. Everybody else just right around him. And Tide is only at 9, so all of these carries that want farm are getting a lot of it, and which makes me a little nervous for UMA going into the mid game, because if everybody gets roughly the same amount of farm, I think FS is going to do more with early farm than UMN is. The Spectre's going to tie up a lot of her early farm and attempting to go for Radiance. Doom, if he gets greedy, he's going to go for a Midas. That's not going to really help him out, and same with Invoker. So whereas on the other side, they're going to have like maybe a Blink Dagger on the Tide, maybe one on the Tiny as well, and then OD's going to have a Force Staff, like very much fighting and positioning items where they can go and take fights and force engagements and out-position the enemy team.
Yeah, that's a good point, because even if they farm through the early game, instead of pressure, there's still a long curve before Spectre gets into the position that she wants. So, yeah, and it looks like the Tide's getting pretty much whatever he wants out of this lane. There is a rotation here for the Jakiro mid, but it doesn't look like they're going to get anything done.
No, the OD had rotated out, grabbing that Invis rune on the top rune spot here. Invoker's going to be left alone here, farming pretty well. He's got his boots and 700 some gold. Started with the Null Talisman. When you go Invoker in the mid lane and you start with a Null Talisman, that usually means that you want to go for that you're not going Midas straight away, though, right? Usually you would start with maybe the Glove of Haste, yeah, or no?
Maybe not Gloves of Haste. I mean, what some invokers do if they're going Quas Wex to get some extra damage, they'll start with the
A Blade of Attack,
so they can build into phase boots. The Null is, I mean, it's just a kind of
just
stats
stats.
item. You're not going bottle, so
Yeah.
like most of the heroes, so you don't need to save for it. Get a couple tangos, get a little bit more base damage and HP early on, and just helps you lane better. So, yeah, it's just
this
casual
Spectre is
stats
going to
item.
be in a tough place. He's going to get gushed down, and Tide's going to start chasing him. But Rubik with the Fade Bolt. Tide doesn't have mana for another Anchor Smash. They're going to have to let the Spectre go, but Tide is winning his lane quite effectively. And somehow Doom is top of the CS charts. I mean, it's only by like 3, but
Tale of two very prosperous offlaners right now. This Tide is about a sliver of experience away from having his ultimate, and he's also not that much gold away from his arcane boots, which is bad news bears for the Spectre, because that's just more Anchor Smashes coming out. And yeah, the Doom is, as you mentioned, he was on top of the CS charts, and he's got that Devour gold coming in, so he's pretty wealthy. He's got his Basilius and phase boots already at the 6-minute mark.
you just walked past a bounty rune. Okay, there you go, buddy. I love this build on Doom. I play a little bit of Doom. Fairly, like he's one. I used to play him more, but started playing a lot more support lately. But my favorite build on him is going phase boots, like starting in the jungle, going phase boots with a Alpha Wolf and a Vlad's, and then just picking a lane and pushing the tower as well. And then after that, build a mechanism and just keep pushing towers. It works really well when you have somebody on your team, like a Spectre, who wants all that space created in that bonus tower gold to get to that first farming item. Like, it can just create a lot of space and force teams to try and deal with you, and then all of a sudden this carry comes online and has all these aura buffs coming up from the Doom, and it can be quite effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doom has a lot of strength growth. One thing that he does not have an abundance of, and in fact has one of the lowest base values of, Tiny being his other competitor for that dubious honor, is armor. As you can see, Tiny has 1 base armor. Doom also has 1 armor. So if you get a mech on Doom, it just gives him a lot more survivability, makes him much harder, and sometimes surprisingly hard to kill. So he becomes a threat to deal with in lane.
Doom's got a smoke, and he's gonna rotate onto the OD, and he gets the Doom off as well. Quickly procced up by the Cold Snap, and doesn't even need to try and go for a stomp. Just pops his Scorched Earth and chases him down. Scorched Earth, of course, will proc that Cold Snap, so basically holds him in place. And Doom's just he moves. He also moves incredibly fast when he's got his Scorched Earth and Phase Boots on. Can just chase people down so well.
Yeah, he basically just flew over there for that gank, and that's a nice first blood coming out for the Radiant Relief. Some pressure on mid, and the early game we talked about. This is a better than ideal turnout so far in the first 8 minutes. Not only have they not been pressured, but they just picked up first blood on the mid.
And then Doom made it back in time to get a wave and a half of creeps, as well as another wave coming in here as well, as far as experience and gold, some last hits go. So this Doom player is getting everything he wants and more. And at this point, at this point, the Tide is not going to be able to keep up. Invoker does pick up a Midas at 8 minutes, first use. Oh, unfortunately, he's got to get it flown out to him, so he's a little bit behind.
Yeah, it looks like OD wants to return the favor here top but the Invoker is pinging him out and saying, careful, careful, there's someone there. So good heads up play by the Invoker. They're communicating with his teammate, knowing that OD is gone. And I think this Radiant Ward up here above the
probably saw them pick up probably saw him pick up the rune. And OD with an Invis and a DD. Normally you think that's like insta-secured kill, but fortunately not able to get it. Also, interesting choice. That's English right there. Didn't even go for his ultimate at level 6 there. Oh, gets the quick Astral Imprisonment off, and he's gonna get some Arcane Orbs with the DD rune. But Invoker quickly Cold Snaps and pops a Forge Spirit, and that's gonna be enough to force him away. DD rune wore off before that, so a little bit unfortunate timing there. Had some quality action runes, not able to make anything happen with him though. The supports are rotating in, but they were spotted out. This Doom's got to be a little careful though, doesn't want to get picked off, and they're all back, so they're going to see. However, rotating again.
And the Invoker had no way of knowing this, but the OD didn't even have his ult at level 7, so I don't think the OD would have been able to kill him there. As we see a rotation bottom, it looks like they want to use this first Ravage.
TP's coming in from the Earthshaker, Tiny, and the Warlock. They're bringing in the house. Gonna like to go on this. It's kind of hard because they don't really... Oh, they ping out the Tide. I think, was that a Rubik ping? I want to say that was.
Yeah, I believe so. I think they saw him. It is daytime, so the creep vision helped them figure out what was going on.
So, legendary on the Rubik, as I want to point it out. He's getting some money, finally. Giving some money to your supports. You want to win games, give support some gold. They'll make magic happen. So... good stuff for him. He's got working towards those mana boots. And they're pinging out. They want to go on this Tide. Ice Path, oh, just to the right. And he's going to get lifted and tossed back, though. Sunstrike, oh, pops the Ravage, though. And the Warlock is still in the area, and so is the Earthshaker. Nice combo coming out from them. Excellent Fatal Bonds, and they're going to look to go on this. Toss the Warlock forward. Oh, no, Gabe! Poor guy, he's tossed out on a limb. That's it. Tiny's going to finish off the Rubik. Maybe it's not so bad, but Warlock's going to go down. They're going to look to deny. They're not able to get it. Tide's dropping very low. They're going to go on this Doom. He's pretty tanky for now, though. He's got his Phase Boots. He's very quick. They're not quite able to get him. Toss comes out from the Earthshaker, though. Oh, he gets the Enchant Totem Stomp. Doom throws out the Centaur Clamp and runs away. He's blocked by his own creep, though. Creepy the creep. Oh, manages to dodge it again. Kind of a bit of a clowny exchange coming out, but at the same time, a little risky. Spectre, hit R. You'll get 2 kills, buddy. Actually, though, look at the Tide. He's so low. 2 clicks, and he's going to go down. Spectre doesn't do it. Either not noticing or his team not telling him that 2 heroes were within 1 hit of dead. Would have been able to get a couple kills there with his haunt. He wouldn't have even had to warp 2 of them, just hit R and get the ghosts out.
Yeah, and timely heal by the Warlock. It is possible that the Tower Fire would have instantly killed the extremely low HP Spectre image, but yeah, she only needed 1 chop or 2. And I think the Doom could have turned things around too. Kind of a situational, tactical thing, but if you click on the enemy heroes and see their mana, you would have seen that Earthshaker had nothing left in the tank, and as did his help. Tiny. So he might have been able to turn around there after eating that tree, use his phase boots, and get some revenge. But yeah, it was a nice protracted fight, and I think ultimately Dire almost by accident got the engagement that they wanted because they got initiated on. They managed to come back in and turn it around.
One thing though is you have to watch out because Doom, like we mentioned, has the very little base armor. I mean, he does have a Bassi and a Stout, so he's got some resistance to work with, but Tiny punches for about 142. So Doom doesn't want to get hit by that too many times. It's going to make him real sad. And I like this pickup, switching to the Swiftness R so we can get some more chops off. That's fine. The Thunderclap is okay. It's a lot of mana for him to throw, but it's a really nice nuke and slow. I think it's a little more effective as far as just controlling people than the Centaur Stomp, but it won't cancel out any teleports or anything like that. But it's I think overall I think it's a better creep to have personally. Also, they need to change that
It was
icon.
an interesting decision that the Spectre just made here. It looked like he was straight at 2,000 gold with just a shield and the Quelling Blade, so I suspected that he was going to be saving for Radiance, but I think after that fight, he felt some of the pressure and he's going to go for a drums instead.
Fort comes out very quickly, and they're going to look to deny this tower, though. There's no catapult there, so they should be able to just deny it and prevent some gold coming out. Yeah, Warlock's going to deny it. There it is. So the bottom tower gets pressured and pushed down, which is what Jakiro wants. Unfortunately, didn't secure the last hit, but they're going to be happy with that. That said, Tiny suddenly has a Blink Dagger. I didn't see that get picked up. Spectre pops his ulti. Cold Snap goes on the Tiny. Nice counter fissure comes out from the Earthshaker. Gush onto the Warlock as well. Ravage does manage to catch the Invoker and the Rubik. Rubik steals Anchor Smash, almost kills the Tiny. Oh, he goes down to the Forge Spirits. So decent play from them. Now, at least managing to get a counter kill. They lose their Invoker and their Rubik. That said, Doom comes in with a Blink Dagger of his own, gets a Doom off on Wilson, and he's chasing him down. Warlock's dropping very low himself. Oh, nice play from the Warlock, getting that deny. Gabe is healing himself up with the Shadow Word. Doom's looking to chase, gets another chop off. The Spectre gets the last hit. And Jode is on the Tide is gonna be able to walk away from that. Interesting build though. He's maxing Gush over getting points in Kraken Shell and has a Stout Shield. I don't understand why people do this on Tide. Why do you get a point in Kraken Shell if you're gonna get a Stout Shield? Why waste the point?
I think I'm not sure if that was the plan. He started with the Stout Shield, did he not?
Might have. I don't remember. I don't remember clicking on him that early.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, that's a common mistake that I've seen here or there, because the block does not stack from the shield and the Kraken Shell. And a couple of things I want to point out: the OD there with the mech went for a chase mid but didn't finish the kill. So I think the Dire team might have been wishing that their mid OD with this ultimate up and a mech was in that team fight. Could have turned things around. Certainly could have finished off the Spectre, who barely TP'd away with about 200 HP after diving the tier 2 tower.
And Rubik comes up and says, "Fuck you," and then walks away. That's how that went. One interesting thing is, I don't think this was by accident either. Doom picked up Purge. He was expecting Warlock to have his ulti soon. Warlock's actually going for Max Fatal Bonds, no points in his ultimate yet, which another interesting build coming out. Not quite sure how I feel about that, but nonetheless, Doom picked up the Purge from the little white centaur, so it can actually deal a lot of damage and quickly get rid of those Warlock golems when they do show up. Nice Ice Path coming too. Oh, misses the Gabe on the Warlock, but he's taking a lot of damage. OD ultimate gets dropped. Spectre's got 8 health bottom from a Tiny. Rubik gets picked off in the mid lane, exchanged for the Warlock. And
yeah, we've got end-to-end action going on here. Spectre was nearly bursted out. Tiny did get that blink, which implies that he wants to be active fighting. He's going to look for a creep down here to toss at Spectre, but the Spectre is far enough away to safety.
And I like that choice from the Tiny, choosing to fight now rather than go for like something greedier and more farm orientated, as they got to finish. They're kind of on a time limit here a little bit. They got to finish the game out before, I would say probably 45 minutes is when they need to have a serious advantage, whether that's gold and experience or a Rax of some sort. Oh, Doom's gonna get blocked off by a fissure. Nice coming out from him. Grodd is looking for the stun. Tiny comes in, gets the avalanche off, but then gets doomed, and it looks like the Doom's gonna want to take someone down with him. He's very tanky with this score. Sure, Spectre throws out the haunt and is gonna come back in. Grodd's doing a nice job juking. Oh, and he has his Blink Dagger off cooldown. Looks like he's gonna get it out. Is he gonna turn around and get the Value Devour? There it is. Oh, is he gonna pay for the Value Devour? Nope.
The
Good
Tide
plays
had the
from him.
mana boots up, so he would have been able to use that and ravage him if he wanted to. But yeah, nice plays coming out from the Doom. That fissure, while it blocked him in from escaping, well, he has his back to the wall, so his decision is, all right, you're not going to let me run, I'll stand and fight. Ends up dooming the Tiny, and with the Spectre's help, gets the kill.
And Doom's one of those heroes where, sure, he doesn't have the armor, but that Scorched Earth, if he survives the initial burst, it's kind of like dealing with an alchemist to a lesser extent. You have to get him in one shot. If you don't get him all at once, you're gonna have a bad time. And he was able to make it work. Gets a return kill and has got another 1,700 gold in the bank. Interested to see what he's gonna go for, and he's going straight into an Ags. I approve.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. I mean, with the boost to Aghanims from Doom, I mean, you can basically count on a hero not being in the fight at all, and he might just die outright to the Doom. So
Looks like you're gonna
strong
go
pick.
for the blink. They get the He throws out the Purge as well. Not sure really what he was hoping to do with that, as it doesn't slow, it just damages illusions. Hopefully he's not misreading that, thinking that it's supposed to be a 400 damage nuke. But nice plays coming up from both teams. The defensive Fissure and a Ravage actually catches on 3. Doom get caught off the side. Fissure stolen by Rubik and gets a kill on the Earthshaker with his own spell. A little bit of a slap in the face there. Your Rubik's laughing. They get an imprisonment on the Doom. He's running up high ground though. An orb's gonna hit him. Oh, and he gets blown up. Drops the hammer. Gets the Doom. So good stuff coming from him. That said, Ice Path does catch the Tide, and he's gonna dropping very low. This Spectre's gonna get a kill, and OD is in a bad place as well. I hear a Sunstrike coming out, and it does manage to get a kill on, I believe that was the Warlock. Yeah, you can see him fading into the ground. Spectre does back off, and this Golem's gonna end up feeding. Ooh, Rubik, don't get punched once more. That's gonna hurt. Looks like they're not gonna be able to get the kill with it. So all in all, I believe that was a three for the Doom.
Yeah, lots of action going on in the mid. Just a huge fight breaking out, both sides turning into these one-on-one duels. And the UNM has to be pretty happy. They again picked up a couple of kills. They managed to weather Ravage and Warlock ult, which was used in a single target skirmish with the Invoker. So I think, you know, they've got to be feeling good. They have some space, and they have some kills to show for it too. So early game continues to be really good for them as this Doom continues to just climb the wealth charts.
He's not leading in CS, but I imagine his net worth is pretty solid. Yeah, he's third on the CS chart, second on his team. Oh, Blink Doom onto the OD. Nice play coming from him. They follow up with a cold snap, and this OD is not going anywhere. He is getting cold snapped and just brought down. Rubik comes in, helps get the secure the kill. Invoker does get it, and they're gonna go onto that Warlock. Where is it? It almost looks like somebody had a diffusal blade. Surely that's not the Purge. And Sunstrike. Oh, nice play from Berserker. He's got a triple kill this fight. And his Force Spirit's ultra kill for the Invoker. Empyrean Flax, my caster said it right. Boosh, boosh, booshity boosh is completely correct.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of mid heroes going ham today in the games that we've casted in. This time it's UMN's own Berserker just doing work on this Invoker. Right place, right time, comboing his spells, following up from the initiations from the Doom and the heroes behind him.
Yeah, no, for sure. And he's been playing very well. This Doom has also been doing some serious work.
Yeah, and he's really nearing his Aghanims now. I think he's really been the catalyst for this early game. And guys, if you're looking for someone to play the offlane and see what impact they can have, this is pretty much the textbook example. He gets the farm and experience that he needs, and he starts running around the map, making things happen, getting into fights, getting in the way, absorbing damage so that his squishier heroes can have a chance to follow up, or that his Spectre can clean up kills. So this is really a well-played Doom. Spectre, after investing in both phase and drums, is up to nearly 3,000 gold, so that Relic and Radiance isn't far away, despite the survivability items that she felt forced to splurge on.
And I really like the choice to go for those. She was able to get into some fights, and she lived with like 10 health multiple times. Which,
yeah.
I mean, you don't have drums, you're dead. That's how that works.
Yep.
So, and I also really like the Doom's choice to go with the value Basilius, mobility Blink Dagger, and then Eggs. No greed here. Just going for high impact, low cost items. I mean, Ags isn't, I wouldn't say is cheap by any means. Oh, Invoker gets stunned up by these ghost blocks, so it doesn't really matter. Hero throws out an Ice Path just to make sure that stay away from his wizard. But
Yep.
so, like so far, it's just been really smart item choices coming out from University of Minnesota, and excellent plays as well from their cores and their supports too. Rubik has a Blink Dagger of his own. he's basically 6-slotted.
Yeah, he has all the tools he needs to make plays, and this is a common theme that as a Warlock is not going to be able to TP away from safety. He does take that double damage away from the Doom. Will it be enough, though, to buy time for his allies to help?
No, Warlock's gonna be toast, and he's gonna also get his ally killed. That Purge doing some serious damage, or some serious slow from the Doom. At 60% movement speed slow, pretty effective. And oh, gets another one out on the OD, and OD's going to be pretty sad here. Ice Path is going to miss, though. That level 3 Necro unit came out of nowhere. Invoker, where did you get that? Doom blinks forward, gets the level death as well. Oh, Cold Snap's going to come out. They need a couple more hits on him. Going to pause him. He gets the self-imprisonment, but unfortunately, it was right as the Tiny dropped his... Oh, Avalanche, and Doom picks off the last kill with a final level death. Spectre again.
And,
Living.
Just,
no health.
Is he going to live, though? The Blink Dagger's about to be up on the tide. He chooses not to pursue, even though he has max gush, so he might have been able to get the kill there, but he's forced to come back and just stare straight into the distance as the rubble of his tier 2 tower greets him.
No, for sure. It's just, this Spectre, though, living life on the edge and getting away with it still, though. 2-0-2, farming pretty well. Let's check last hits out here. So 75. OD is actually the leader. It's kind of like in the light of how well the team fights have been going in favor of UMN. We forget that the OD is actually pretty farmed. 108 last hits. Unfortunately, has 3 deaths, but he's got a mech, 4-staff treads, casual null and bottle. I mean, he's got some items, but Invoker, that Necro 3 just kind of. I saw him pick up the Necro 1 or 2. And then all of a sudden I see this Necro 3 unit chasing down an OD. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, the Necro is a great addition to any Exhort Invoker's toolkit, and it's good in this game against what I would call sources of uncontrollable damage, like Tiny has AoE, Earthshaker has AoE, Tide has AoE, even the Warlock and OD do. And so you're bound to kill that Necro book creep, maybe by accident at some point. And also, this is a common theme that we've had throughout the day, fighting with ultimate-dependent lineups or heroes. So obviously, Fresh Soil is very dependent on things like Ravage, Warlock ult, and of course the Earthshaker and OD ults to be able to do their damage. So it's going to be hard for them to take some of these fights without their ults, or if their ults are disjointed or not chained together.
On the mid lane, we're going to have the Doom blink forward, and they're going to quickly pick off Earthshaker. On the meantime, though, where did that Tiny die? He dies up in the top lane to the Invoker and the Spectre ultimate, and Doom's looking to go ham. Didn't bother throwing Doom out on the Earthshaker, knew that he wasn't going to go anywhere, and now has that Ag, so it cancels out all passives as well, and now deals 60 pure damage a second, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's going to suck, especially when, as long as he's in range of you, and he has the Purge, so it's a 5-second duration, 5-second cooldown, 60% slow, and a Blink Dagger and Phase Boots and Scorched Earth, he's just going to follow you around until you die because of it, literally, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, pretty much. It does help a little bit, maybe, that there are a number of potent spells on Fresh Soil, but I mean, if you get the Obsidian doomed, as we mentioned earlier, there goes your sustained damage. And since Tiny went for a ganking build, he does not yet have his Aghanim Scepter. It doesn't look like he's even going for it. I think he's going Yasha before then. So your sustained damage source is the OD. If he gets doomed, it's hard to see where anything but the burst and ulti damage is coming from.
Yeah, unfortunately, Earthshaker's a long way away from a Blink Dagger, and Tiny's got one, Warlock's got one, but they've kind of put themselves in a position where they're really relying on getting a full 5-hero Fatal Bonds into a Ravage multi-hero Echo Slam with the Golems on top, and we're going to see a team fight that's going to get scouted out by the blue Necro unit here and the rest of the Invoker, whatchamacallits. So they're just going to run out, and that's actually going to be enough to force them off of the Roche Pit. Tide's still looking to go in. They don't really have any vision here. They know that they're down there, but only what Tide could see, which would have been an arc, something like that, because of the trees. So, interesting enough, though, UMN, they're going to look to go. Invoker runs forward, gets a Tornado onto 1. Rubik throws out a Fade Bolt. Nice Ice Path on 3. They get the Doom out on the Tide. He's going to drop well. The OD ultimate comes through, and that's doing quite a bit of damage. They're all dropping very low. OD's going to finish off the Doom. Imprisons I'm not sure who that is. I think it's it's the Invoker, so he's going to go drop very low as well. Raven is going to get the kill on his Tiny as well from almost no health. An excellent fight coming from them. Even though they lost their Tide, he couldn't get his Ravage off. So they managed to make it work. They get the fight they were looking for. They get a, I mean there was no Ravage, but they got the tiny combo on a lot of heroes as well as a really nice fissure to just I can't English break up the fight, and then followed it up with Sandy's Eclipse, and kind of went from there.
Yeah, Spectre continues to survive by a hair in these fights. That was what we were talking about there with the very potent ultimates from Fresh Soil in a small enclosed area leading up to the secret shop as well. So even though the Tide didn't get off his Ravage, as the Doom managed to doom him right before the cast, the other ultimates, including the Warlock's AoE spells, helped them lock things down as they look for the return kill on the OD here.
Hmm. Rubik with the imprisonment on the OD. He's gonna get bursted down by the Tiny though. Unfortunately, Doom is back. He's gonna get that slow off on the Warlock. Warlock gets a heal up. Liquid Fire as well. Gonna kind of counter that. Ooh, nice play from the Tiny. Saves his buddy. Then the Tide comes in, gets a two-man Ravage. Invoker throws Earth Tornado, only lands on one. I think it's on the Earthshaker, who's going to drop off to the side. I want to watch this fight, though. See what the the Tide and the Tiny are able to do. Lucky Charms is dropping very low. He's getting chased down. One more club. There he's going to drop. And now I think Doom's going to be in a bit of a sticky situation. Doom comes out onto the Tiny, and Doom is going to be able to blink follow him. He gets Craigie, though, and there's nothing Tiny can do against this Doom with an Ags. He's just going to be in a sad place. Doom's going to be able to blink after him as well, even if the ultimate starts cooling down. And rip Tiny. This is just a slow, painful death for the Rockman.
That's when you're really doomed. He's just following you around. There's nothing you could do about it. The fight looked like it started off okay, but eventually reinforcements showed up. And again, without ultis, it's really hard for this squad for Fresh Soil to fight the other team. They just don't have the AOE or the follow-up to win these fights. Spectre does have the Radiance, so she's starting to really hurt now. And of course, that Aghanim's Doom with the short cooldown and following the hero around just basically guaranteed his demise.
Yeah, and they're going to look to go back in and finish off this Roshan with the double Force Spirits, some Alacrity, and the Spectre hitting fairly hard, and the Doom being tanky enough to kind of handle this just in general. I think they're going to be able to finish it off very quickly, and Ravage on cooldown, and Fresh Soil, they have no idea that this is going on. I like the choice to give it to Spectre. Doom just has so much health and the regen, he's not likely to go down. I'd like to see him, I know I've been kind of fanboying over it, but if he doesn't go Vlad's, I want to see him get an AC like real quick. He's just, it would just help out their team so much and help him out as just in general. I do like the utility of the Purge, but I still think maybe a crit creep later on could be a little better. But hey, each their own.
Yeah, he could switch to the damage role at some point. Right now he's doing a good job just being in the front line. The AC, as you mentioned, would be great in giving him some natural armor and also reducing the armor of heroes who already don't have much of it, like Tiny, who is far away from having anything resembling an Assault Cuirass. He's going BKB, so that would be huge. And I mean, the OD doesn't really do physical damage, but still there's a decent amount of it coming out. So AC is just a great pickup in general. It just makes him tankier on the front lines.
Doom quickly comes out onto Wilson, the Earthshaker, and he gets slowed down. Unfortunately, the Sunstrike just loaded off. Spectre haunts in, says thank you for the assist, and that's a Spectre haunt for an Earthshaker. I mean, worth? I don't know. Doom kind of had it under control.
Yeah, Doom had things handled, but the Spectre probably just wasn't sure if there was help behind him, or if he should come in or not. Or they could be just doing this, which is, hey, I'll haunt to you, and then we'll go in for the push. And with the ultimates up for the Dire and Earthshaker up in a few seconds, they might be able to mount a credible defense.
And they get the spam out. They get their liquid fire on the tower. Invoker did pick up an Ags. Tiny's gonna, or sorry. The Tide is going to get a huge Ravage on 4. They quickly blink in with the Tiny to follow up. They burst down the Invoker, as well as a lot of the other heroes. They burn the Aegis on the Spectre. Doom is sitting off to the side. Not a whole lot he can do. Spectre is stuck in the imprisonment, and he's going to be bursted down again. That said, his Radiance Burn almost takes down the OD, and it does actually kill the Tide. Earthshaker's very low. Doom went in trying to get something, or turn kill. He tries to TP out right there. That's a little, maybe a bit of a misclick coming out there. Tiny does drop to the Liquid Fire. Rubik does go down to the Golem. Those Flaming Fist procs, they hurt. So, in the end, a massive team fight from both teams. Waiting for that recap to pop off. I want to see what all happened there.
Yeah, and that was another example of a fight that goes pretty well for Fresh Soil because it's a terrain favorable to them, that high ground. They have all their ultimates up. So they managed to actually, I would say that's basically a 2 for 5 because they killed the Spectre twice, although she's not very
Hmm.
tanky. And if you look at the Obsidian coming into that fight, he very quietly had already picked up a Scythe of Vice, so that led to a ton of damage from his ult and a nice disable. And again, you've got to fight when the conditions are favorable for you. I think if they did that a little bit sooner after picking off the Earthshaker in the woods, or if they picked off a different target instead, they might
Hmm.
have had a better time with that fight. But as it was, I mean, the Earthshaker didn't even have his blink yet, so killing him doesn't open that big of a window for you to be able to go up on high ground, and they got punished for that.
Yeah, I think what they're gonna have to do, and they haven't lost their lead yet. I mean, it's certainly dipped back down, but they're still about a 9,000 net worth lead, and experience is a lot closer. It's about 5K for the side of University of Minnesota, but I want to see this Invoker go sit bottom and just push bottom with his Necro units and Forge Spirits. Push down the lane. Spectre ulti's going to go through. They're getting a tornado onto the Warlock. Spectre manages to haunt in, but he's all alone there, canceling all the Blink Daggers. The Doom comes out onto the OD, but I think it's not really going to matter. That said, what a tornado, or sorry, a meatball and a deafening blast coming out from the Invoker there. And Doom is just going to go ham. He's managed to blink out before he gets hit. Spectre's going to back off, gets gushed. Tiny's going to look to combo him. He's got a toss. Hasn't thrown it out yet. A couple of long-range nukes coming out from the side of UMN. Rubik does steal Gush. Gabe is going to drop, though. One more last hit, and there he goes. And quickly, they lose their OD. They lose their Rubik. Their Tide's on cooldown. Earthshaker doesn't have a Blink Dagger yet, and they're going to lose a set of racks very quickly to the split push. The Doom and Invoker, Liquid Fire. It's just all so good at knocking down towers.
Yeah, and I mean, both teams don't seem to be playing around this dynamic of the Dire team needing their ultimates. The Dire just want to fight. They wanted to get that tier 1 tower in return, and they didn't have the ults for it. And one other thing I want to point out, I don't like, calling out players and stuff, obviously, but I think the Earthshaker could have salvaged that situation. He did have both his stun and his ultimate up, and heroes charging straight through the tower at him. Plus, he could have put down a fissure to help his allies escape and seal off the enemy, but the Earthshaker kind of just ran in the flock, in the herd with everybody else, and he wasn't able to prevent the loss of Raxus and his team's core heroes.
Yeah, a little bit of a misplay coming out, but such is Dodo. Um, Meanwhile, he did get picked off by the nice combo coming out from the Invoker. This guy's pretty good at playing Invoker, if I do say so as myself. Pretty trash tier Invoker. I think I've played him twice because he's my current all hero challenge, and it's been bad. It's
Yeah,
not
I know how you
great.
feel there.
But at the same time, though, they've been playing well. Blink Doom onto the Tide. Looks like they just want to push them back. Cancel that initiation for a little bit. Tiny's going to go in after a nice golem gets dropped, though. He blinks right into an Ice Path. I don't think he got his combo off. Only the stun. Rubik manages to steal. What did he get? He had Chaotic Offering, so he countered it with it as well. Meanwhile, the Spectre's going to go ham on this OD. And he's going to drop. Tide comes back in with the Ravage on 2. Gets it on the Rubik as well as the Spectre. Nice Echo Slam coming out there as well, but the Tiny dropped very low from that. And the Radiant Spurn's going to finish off the Earthshaker before he can get any kills. Spectre with a triple kill coming out. Meanwhile, Invoker says, my team's fighting. What? And takes the racks. So, finish the melee. Make sure. There you go. Finish off. Nice Ice Path coming out from there. The Sunstrike a little bit off. Oh, OD almost walks into it. That throws out the Gush. I'm going to force him back. And that's 2 lanes of racks in favor of UMN.
Yeah, it's another great fight for them. The Fresh Soil didn't look to be entirely on the same page there. I think there were some people coming into the fight while some people were going out, as we see OD picks up his BKB, which will not save him from the Doom. And he could have come back maybe sooner, since there was no spells left, no ammunition left in the chambers of the Radiant, and try to save that Rax. But a bit of miscoordination, I'd say. I think that's something that they're going to work on, and all teams can work on there. But things are looking kind of bleak for them as they're down to 2 sets of Raxes.
Yeah, it's not great. Looks like they're just going to play this one out, see how it goes. I mean, they have a team that could potentially come back into the late game. And really, Tiny, ultra late, pretty scary. I don't think he really handles the Spectre or the Doom, because the thing is, if you ultra late, you kill the Spectre, you kill your team, such as Dispersion. But one thing I didn't mention is Spectre did pick up a Vanguard before that engagement, so a fair bit tankier there. And probably originally wanted to go for a heart, but opts to go for the Vanguard instead. Now, do you finish that into a Crimson Guard as a Spectre?
I'm not sure how much you'd really want the Crimson Guard this game. It is a little odd to see Vanguard coming out afterwards, as we see the OD is in some trouble here. He's got no answers to being doomed.
Mm-hmm. The Earthshaker was also picked off by a Sunstrike here. Not sure how the Invoker managed that one. If it was a what kind of spells he threw out, or if it was just the Earthshaker killed the Necro unit and then got Sunstruck. But we'll have to. He ended up going down, and I think the Tide's going to drop as well. It just needs. Oh, Tornado! That's going to be a dead Tide when he drops as well. Nice lift on the Invoker. Berserker gets the snipe and the Sunstrike. Oh, oh, the well regen. All of the creeps. Oh, he gets off the last word. It's not enough. Double kill comes out for him, and they're kind of farming them in the well now. This is getting a little absurd, boys. Oh, the rest of his team is managing to get the top racks. This is going to be mega creeps. Buyback on the Tide. He does have Ravage, so they can make a go at it. But he hasn't done it yet.
The common theme we've seen today is teams first picking heroes that they do well on and are very comfortable with. And we did mention the first pick Invoker. Hey, maybe they really are a fan of this Berserker's guy's Invoker play, so that's why they picked it up first. And he's probably like, hey guys, listen, get me this hero, and I'll bring home the bacon.
Yeah, and bring home the bacon he has. He ended up 16, 3, and 9 on that Invoker, I believe. Scoreboard's going to be coming up here in a short moment. But, so a solid game from UMN. It wasn't an utter stomp like some of the other games we've seen today. No names will be named, but just some of the games today have been completely one-sided. I feel like that one wasn't one-sided as far as player skill goes, but it was just a really solid draft, and I'm not saying that either team played poorly or badly, and I'm not trying to play down any good plays that they had. Just, I think Fresh Soil can come back, and I think they can take a game 2 if they have a more favorable draft. Their draft seemed kind of weird. They had 3 heroes that all basically wanted to do the exact same thing, Tide, Tiny, and Earthshaker, and the University of Minnesota, their heroes were just very good at being defensive and could really handle that damage. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that's basically the story of the game right there, and it really is one of those situations you have to recognize your own strengths and weaknesses as a lineup, and you have to recognize. We pointed this out as soon as the Tide and Earthshaker were taken, because I don't think the Earthshaker actually got his blink for the whole game. You need certain items and you need ultimates, and the more that you depend on those, as strong as they may be, the more you open yourself up for the gaps in between having those ultimates, and you have to be really careful about taking fights at different times.
Well, that's going to wrap up game 1. We're going to be back in a few minutes. I think the captains usually want to take a little bit of a break in between, grab a drink and that kind of stuff. So we'll be back. Going to throw in some sick tunes, and you can tune in. Also, feel free to follow me at WolfDota if you're watching on Twitch. Thank you very much. If you're in the client, thank you very much for purchasing the ticket and supporting this amateur tournament. It's really important to these players to get some views, get some hype. It's fun for them too. It's fun for the casters. So. And thank you very much. My co-caster, as always, was Korean Barbecue. Thanks for tuning in to us.